Hi Greg, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, sir?
I'm fine too, thank you. And I want to ask you a few questions this afternoon. So, would you mind about that?
Of course not. Thank you.
So, how did you get in Indonesia?
Well, the first time I came to Indonesia was back in 2001, I believe. And it was just for a short vacation to Bali. And that made me want to come back again because I had such a great experience that time. And that was even before the Bali bomb. So I came back in 2006, where I ended up meeting my wife. And then, well, she wasn't my wife at the time, but she's my wife now. And that's what made me come back a third time. I secured a job here back in 2006. And then we left this, early 2007 and returned again, I think in 2012. And since 2012, I've been living here. So I guess it's been, I think it's 2012. I think it's been about 7 or 8 years, something like that. Yeah. And I've been working here ever since, happily.
When you see Indonesia for the first time, what do you think about our country and our people and the things that may be so different with your country?
Well, the first time, which was in Bali, I had a very good experience and a very good first impression, which has most of the things that I first felt about the country I still can say I feel today, even having lived here for many years. The people are very warm, incredibly friendly, and Indonesia's probably about as exotic of a place as I could have ever dreamed of even before coming. And even though currently I'm not living a very adventurous or exotic life, it's pretty standard. But the country, you could still find that if you wanted to. And that was my impression in Bali the first time, was it was beautiful. The people were friendly. Everyone smiles. I enjoyed the food very much, which is very important to me. And I enjoyed some of the culture, the crafts in Bali, as well as some of the traditional dancing. But I love good art and good craftsmanship. So I was looking at all of the woodwork and the silver work and things of that nature. I didn't probably maybe exploit the beaches or the ocean as much as I could have. But I'm from California, so I'm used to beaches and oceans, so I didn't feel the need to. But that was my first impression, I think.
Well, thank you, Greg. And what do you think is the best place to live in Indonesia for people from Western countries?
Well, I have lived in Bali. I visited Bali, and I lived in a city called Bogor back in 2006. And I'm currently living in BSD or Serpong. And I don't know which of the three would be the best for a Westerner. I'm going to guess most Westerners would probably want to live in a place like Bali. But Bali's almost kind of not reality for a Westerner. I don't know too many Westerners who are working and living in Bali. I'm sure there are some. But most of them are living in Jakarta or the Jakarta area. It's still a good place to live. I'm sort of outside Jakarta, kind of, I don't know if it would be like a sort of a suburb. That's what it feels like. And it's a very pleasant area to live. There's not a lot going on. I think some expats might be bored, depending on what they're looking for, if they don't go outside of this town or this small city. There's a lot of malls, and Indonesians really enjoy their malls, much more so than Americans do. and that tends to be what they do for fun. Most people for leisure will go to a mall and relax for the day, maybe watch a movie or eat. There's not a lot of parks around here, but I do enjoy the food around here, and I enjoy the simplicity. Actually, I don't like big, busy, dirty cities. I suppose if you lived in Jakarta, there would be all kinds of possibilities of things to do. And most people I know who live here go to Jakarta in order to do those things. I'm not one of them. But I might live a rather boring life in most people's opinion. But if you want to do something, I hear there's all kinds of fun things to do in Jakarta.
Sounds good, great, thanks. And next, if someone, let's say from US or Europe or other Western country want to go and want to live in Indonesia, what can they do for a living?
I'm mostly familiar with education, and I've been teaching English in Asia on and off for almost 20 years. So that's what I'm familiar with. But I have heard there's also opportunities in, I think, hotel management and lots of opportunity in oil if you know what that's all about, which I don't. But I hear about that a lot. Perhaps, Indonesia's rich in natural resources. So if there is a way for an entrepreneur to somehow find a way to get in here, and like I said before, I have no idea how any of that works. I hear Borneo has all kinds of diamonds, colored diamonds. They're very rich in diamonds, and gold is there's a lot of gold in this country. So, but I don't know that much about any of this stuff. I just know English. In Asia, there's for the most part in most Asian countries, there's a very big demand for ESL, and in Indonesia, there's a lot of test preparation centers like Kaplan, where they're always looking for people to help you pass TOEFL or IELTS tests. So there's probably a lot of opportunity for tutoring or schools that will hire you. I'm trying to think what other kinds of situations. Supposedly, this is a great place for business, because it's sort of they're having kind of a new growing economy from what I've heard, but for a foreigner to start a business here sounds rather complicated, and of course there's a certain amount of corruption which you will have to get through many means. I don't know how you would do that, but you're going to need permission and permits, and they do love paperwork here. So you could end up spending a lot of money to get the right forms, and as a foreigner you will be spending more money than a local would.
Thank you, Greg. This is the last question. What is your message, or what do you want to say? What do you want people to know if they want to go to Indonesia, maybe for a while, or maybe to stay here to have a job? What is your message for them?
Well, one of the reasons I like to live here compared to America, specifically the West Coast where I'm from, which by the way I'm very fond of, but it's so expensive, especially in places like California, and life is very comfortable here, and you don't have to think about it so much. It's pretty easy to get from one month to the next, and you can make life as simple or as complicated as you want here. It can be as cheap or as expensive as you want it to be. It's very easy to live a humble, simple life here and be very happy. And people are a big one for me. I love how friendly everyone is here. They seem to be naturally pretty happy with their life. And so I think it's a great place to live if you're looking for something that's less complicated and comfortable and welcoming.
Okay, Greg, thank you and have a nice weekend.
Yes, you too, sir. Take care.
You're welcome.
Thank you.